there were only a handful of expats, black expats, living here, some of which have, long since left or gone away. But over the last several years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, there's been a lot more dedication to black expats, Afro-Americans, Afro-Indigenous people coming to the Caribbean to live. And it's been a good journey for most of them. It's been a good journey for the people who live here and who have received them by and far, for the most part. There are some indifferences between the tribes or the groups that have been coming.
Welcome to the Immigrant Experience in America, an immigrant human library, where we amplify and humanize the experiences of immigrants in the United States and around the world. Listen in as we add another story to our immigrant human library. I wanted to know, Fred, just tell me a bit about who is Fred, what brings him to Costa Rica.
Okay, well, Fred is a 68-year-old man who's been living in Costa Rica for 20-something odd years, originally from Washington, D.C. Got out early, up and down the East Coast quite a bit, and had gone to California when I was probably pre-30s, and I went back around 32 to move there and lived there until I was in my 50s. I had a couple of children and decided to move to the Caribbean, Costa Rica, Puerto Viejo, and brought them with me. They were raised here most of their young child life, and they're young adults now, and had a daughter born here. She's 16. And yes, it's been an amazing journey for me so far. Living in this jungle, rainforest environment has really been good for my soul, my health, my spirit, and I recommend it to anyone. It's not for everyone. It is a very healing, energetically place. Lots of practitioners here that do all kinds of healings. And just a nice place where you know everybody. Everybody knows you. They know your kids. It's a beach community, a jungle community. And it's just a much slower pace of life than the States. And safe, really safe. So I've really found my little heaven on earth, I'd like to say. And it's been great. I recently went to the States for the first time since I've lived here, which has been 20 years, like I said. And it was an interesting adventure for me. It wasn't bad. It was a bit indifferent, and it was wonderful to see friends and family and the places where I grew up, and all of that. But so much has changed, and so many people have changed, I myself included. But to try and understand if I could ever live in the United States again has been very difficult, or very easy decision to say I would never live there again. So that's who I am basically in a nutshell, where I've been. And
Talk about your initial adjustment to Costa Rica when you first came, Fred. What was it like moving from California to Costa Rica, and how did you adjust in those early days?
okay, that's a very good question, and I urge anybody who's considering coming here, even for vacation, put on your patience jacket and really slow yourselves down, because we are super accustomed to having things happen instantly. And this is not the place where that has ever been high on the mark. It's slow. Things take time, and my biggest adjustment was just that. And pride myself in patience, and it was an adjustment for me because it's just what we're used to. We're creatures of habit, and we are used to certain things happening. And when we find out that something else is going on in our environment, then we must learn how to adjust to that. So that was my biggest, I think, adjusting, thing, because it just was sort of, I don't know, I guess instilled in my DNA to have things happen rapidly and quickly and, when we want it, push of a button even. So, no, Costa Rica's really laid back. The Afro-Caribbean people here really laid back. Nobody's in a hurry. Yes, things have sped up a bit. There are a lot of people who've come here to live here. And it's changing somewhat. It has always been a very diverse place, so you've always have had people from here amongst people that come here. Outsiders are no strangers. So it's been that really kind of dynamic of being really diverse place in cultures and ages and, looks, everything. It's just been really amazing. And I find that to be the beautiful part about it. It's something for everybody here. At least that's how I see it for myself, my children. So just slow down and have patience and pura vida. That's the old saying, and it still exists today, and it basically translates pure life. So, it's just a good way to understand how to enter a place like this and enjoy what it has to offer.
Great, great. Pura vida. So, what was it like raising your children here, Fred? What was it like finding school, finding recreational activities, etc.? What was that like?
Well, that was probably one of the easiest things to do because this place is a great place to have kids, raise kids, because they instinctively feel the freedom of living in a place, with their bare feet on nature, seeing animals of all kinds, birds and things like that. So it really triggers their imagination. Schools here and the literacy rate in Costa Rica is pretty good. Literacy rate. They're good schools. They tend to be the public schools a little bit overcrowded and understaffed, but they put a lot of attention to educating students, especially those who want to learn. As far as myself, I did have the opportunity to put my kids in what was a private school, so to speak, or kind of a Montessori-based school. Wasn't particularly accredited by the government of Costa Rica, but it gave them the opportunity to be around multiple speaking cultures, languages. They learned Spanish really quickly. They had this wonderful ocean and jungle to be their playground, so that was always fun for them. And just the environment alone, because it's such like a camaraderie between communities and families and neighbors. Everybody knows your kids. So even when they were much younger, they came here when they were 4 years old and 6 years old. They're now 20, coming on 24 and 22. So, back in the day when they were younger, and I started to feel really comfortable about them being out and about, even, when it comes dark. It's like if it felt funny, I'd call a neighbor, and it's like, they'd say, give me 5 minutes, and they call a neighbor, and you find your kids in 10 minutes, and it's like, oh, no, they're coming, They were at the beach, they were here, they were there, and you always could find your kids, and adults here see your kids grow, like I've seen all my, friends, and everybody you know their kids, so you see them grow, and so you always know them. And a lot of them now, like I say, are young men and young women, and they've thrived here and grew up here, so it's a great place for kids. And most of them do well. Most of them get out after a certain age and go different parts of the world and do well. Some stick around and do well. But yeah, it's a great place to raise kids. I highly recommend it because kids are so happy here. And that was one of the reasons why I came here, because I wanted to give my kids something different than what LA was offering. what the States was offering as far as, inundating them with this information that's just like useless and aggressive and, not good for them, for their spirit. So they're there now. They're actually living in the States now for the last couple of years. My daughter's in New York. My son is in D.C. And just got to see him. And I hadn't seen my son since he left. And it's been a good journey. It's been a really good journey. So I highly recommend kids, get a slice of this as when they're young, because they never forget it. And I see that with a lot of the people who come as tourists who bring kids. I see the kids, I see their happiness. I see their glee. I see their spirit like to shine because they're in an environment where it's not restricted.
That's good to hear that your children had a great time going to school here. Talk about, like the Black expat community that has, been moving here to the US and like real estate and things like that.
You mean moving here to Costa Rica?
Right, Costa Rica in general and also to Puerto Viejo as well.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time coming, in my opinion, because when I got here 20 years ago, to make it home, there were only a handful of expats, black expats, living here. Some of which have, long since left or gone away. But over the last several years, 3, 4 years, 5 years, there's been a lot more dedication to black expats, Afro-Americans, Afro-Indigenous people coming to the Caribbean to live. And it's been a good journey for most of them. It's been a good journey for the people who live here and who have received them by and far, for the most part. There are some indifferences between the tribes or the groups that have been coming. Because, the thing about it is when people come, they bring their luggage. And that luggage could consist of many different things, personal, spiritual, physical. And so that luggage at some point has to be opened and it comes out. And I say that because I've seen it happen. And I sort of stay neutral because, I am, in my opinion, well received as a extranjero or as a implant here. So I'm good with all the locals, all the people who come here, tourists, and being, a black man myself, I must recognize my people when they come, and do, and I try to do my best to welcome them, to give them a sense of where they're at now, and how to kind of navigate through it as an American, because everybody has an opinion of Americans, everybody has an opinion of black people, and it's not always good. So that being said, I do my best to kind of welcome people and invite them to be their natural self, and but leave the unnecessary luggage that you don't really need, or the things that you're running away from, if you happen to be, or the traumas that you endured. If you come here and seek help or seek therapy for them, great, and it's out there. But if you come here to dwell in it and pull people into it, it's another thing completely. And I refuse to let someone draw me into their trauma who are not looking for a way out themselves. And so my recommendation is to come and see, come visit, come with a goal, a directional sense of direction of where you're trying to go. Don't let it stop when you get here, and then it's the same old thing that it was where you left. Understand? So that's what I see being somewhat problematic when people come here, and why they don't really resonate perfectly. Because this place is perfect. It receives everybody. and it has something to offer everyone if you're willing to open up to its healing, its energy. So that is what I recommend, to come here with a very open heart, an open mind, and have a purpose, or how do you say, a reason why you left where you left, and a reason you came here, and how to tie those in together or separate those.
Great position to take. Fred, can you talk about how the real estate environment has changed over the last 20 years?
Oh yeah, absolutely I can. Um, this place was a vast jungle long before I got here, and a lot of that jungle still exists. And like I say, it's a very healing jungle. It's a very beautiful jungle with all kinds of species of plants and trees. It's an amazing thing. And that's the other thing. When I was just mentioning people who have traumas and things like that when we come here, it's due to a lot of the fact that we've been living, some of us, in this animated world where just nature in general, just nature itself, which is very healing, it's medicinal, and a lot of us have not had that opportunity to really take advantage of that. So, and I think that's why so many people love it when they come here, because they feel that love from the jungle, from the ocean, and it makes the big difference in your day and in your feelings and in your spirit. So the real estate here is dynamic. It's ongoing. It's getting very popular here now, and very expensive even. Unlike when I came, where you could get land super cheap, that's not the case in 2024. They sell land here by the square meter and by the hectares, which is about 2 acres a hectare. And it's expensive now. It can be expensive now, over $100, $100 or better. Whereas back in the day when I came here, you could find square meter prices $10, $15, $20, literally. And then for a long time, it was like, $30, $40, $50 a square meter. But it has jumped tremendously over the last 5 years. And of course, you know what that does. It disadvantages a lot of people, and who can't afford those kind of prices. And it brings in people who have a lot more wealth. So that's an issue. I myself have just landed a project where a woman from the States is going to build a really nice project, house, cabins, or cabinas, or rentals. And she deserves it. But, it's just difficult for everybody to be in her position when they come here. But, nonetheless, I'm going to embark on this project management position and make sure that she gets what she's seeking. And I deserve it because, I have been involved with property management for many years living here. That's what I did primarily. Until I started picking up the tourism aspect of my life. And, and I have been involved with many possible land sales and house sales. And, of course, as a middle person, you get kicked to the curb at some point. And, there goes your commission. There goes all your hard work and all this stuff. Well, this one's ironclad. This has been working out. It's been magical. She deserves it. I deserve it. And we're in process. And she found a beautiful couple lots of land, and it's all systems go. But in general, this place has become very popular. So, and Costa Rican government has been, it's actually, if you Google or search, you'll see Costa Rica's #1 destination for travel, for retirees, for people like that to live here, to have some kind of, stability here. It's inviting that, and it's been taking heed by a lot of people. Lots of people are coming. The Pacific Coast has always had that, so you have a lot of expats living on the Pacific Coast. In my opinion, they're good there, and we're good here. But yeah, Puerto Viejo is changing quite quickly. It's not in a bad sense because the energy is still so very strong and so healing. And like I say, the energy itself will determine whether you stay here or whether you go out. It calls all, but many are called, but only few are chosen, as the saying goes. So the real estate is what it is. I don't like to see, jungle being cleared, but that's an age-old problem. And what do? You don't have the power to stop them from cutting all the trees, and we have so many, but still, I've seen the difference over the last several years.
Join us again next time for part 2 of this episode. We thank our listeners around the world, and we appreciate your continued support as we build our human library. Please remember to give us a 5-star review, subscribe, and share with your friends, family, and circle of influence.